The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Paranormal Buzz Radio is proud to present the Dying to Know podcast, brought to you all the way from the United Kingdom with Lee from Spirit Vision Paranormal Research.
Listener discretion is advised.
Okay guys, hi, welcome to the 5th episode of the Dying to Know podcast. Today it's just me and Lee, something a little bit different. We've got no guest. Something that Lee's viewers have been asking for some time now is our experiences and our opinions on things.
Yeah, so I've had a few people that have sent messages saying it'd be cool if you guys would like talk about your experiences and other things. So
listen to us waffle on.
Yeah.
So we're with you for probably about 40 minutes, maybe a little longer, depending on how much we waffle for. We haven't really we've got a bit of an idea in our head, haven't we?
Well, I thought we'd cover three. I thought we'd cover three subjects. I thought maybe we can talk about equipment, entertainment side of it, and also experiences maybe. Yeah,
because they have us to do some experiences. I think the main thing from the viewers that we've had that's messaged us is not just our experiences as a paranormal investigators. For the people that don't know, me and Lee are actually paranormal investigators with our own team, Spirit Vision Paranormal Research. But for up-and-coming paranormal investigators, maybe investigators that are interested.
And husband and wife.
And husband, yeah, for my downfall. And husband and wife. And the podcast that you started that I wasn't getting involved in, I'm now involved in, yeah. So there might also be investigators out there that are looking a bit like me and Lee to go into the more the research side of it.
Definitely.
Which is why we're going to talk about well, hopefully, yeah. So to start off then, we're going to talk about the entertainment. And when you say entertainment, Lee, I'm guessing you mean TV.
Well, both. There's enough on YouTube as well that claim to be paranormal.
In my head, I think that there is a few categories for paranormal investigators. And by the way, this is no right or wrong way to this. I think everybody's got their own reasons for going into the paranormal, into the investigating side of it. Maybe it's because you saw Most Haunted. Maybe it's because you saw Ghost Adventures. I know that we did back in the early days.
People have different agendas, and
people have different agendas. And then, so you've got that side of it. Then you've got people that maybe want to contact loved ones, but then you've also got the people that make money from it. I'm talking about the YouTubers now that spend. See,
that's my biggest gripe. The people that are claiming it to be paranormal.
Yeah.
When you know full well they're full of shit.
Yeah.
Basically.
Let's say what it is. Yeah. I haven't got a problem if they want to do it on YouTube and they want to spend 10 minutes in a building and they want to, let's face it, nothing you see on TV, unless it's a documentary, because some of them are quite staged these days, but I haven't got a problem with them doing that if they want to make, some horror shot for whatever for 10 minutes. But my problem is their viewers are then paying them and subscribing to them because they believe that it's real, and that is my biggest gripe.
And 100% they believe it real. You try calling them out and watch what happens.
I know, it's terrible. I mean, look, we've not been doing it for too long. There's no experts, I believe, in this field. I think that even if you're 4 years into it like me and Lee, even if you're 40 years... Yeah, of course. But even if you're 40 years into it, you should keep evolving and you should keep moving. Look, we're all out there every night, and there's thousands of teams around the world trying to prove something that science still can't explain.
No.
And I'm not a scientist, you're not a scientist.
No, absolutely not a scientist.
But we try our best. So for the entertainment side of it, something interesting, I don't even know if you probably do know this actually. When you watch TV and it says for entertainment purposes only, you know where that come from?
Yeah.
Where did they come from? Most Haunted. Yeah, because I think they were.
Well, there was no proof behind what they were saying, were they? And basically what they were saying was pretty much they could say what they want, and people would take it in just like they do on.
Absolutely. So they
YouTube.
I don't know if it was Ofcom or it was some authority, wasn't it, to do with the TV that put it in for entertainment purposes only. Yeah. Which basically for me, a little bit like true stories when you watch true films and stuff, and they say based on a true story could just mean it happened on a Tuesday afternoon, not the basis of the actual script of the movie.
Yeah.
So entertainment purposes only, they can pretty much write in what they want and say, oh my God, it's a ghost.
And listen, we're not here to attack, like, you like ghost adventures and people like, but I'll call it as it is. As a skeptic coming into the paranormal, right? Because remember, I was watching every documentary,
for years
every
and years and years.
TV show going. I've seen every TV show going.
More
And to
than
be
once.
honest, looking back now, there's probably only 2 or 3 now that I'll actually
watch.
believe is 100% genuine, whereas the rest I think just full of shit. And the reason for that is because when we started then, because basically I watched, I used to watch Resident Undead. I watched that from day one. I also seen the Sir No Face.
Yeah, you watched Most Haunted from day one.
Yes.
You watched Ghost Adventures from day one.
Yes, but the thing that got me off and got me out was when that Sir No Face thing was put out there, and I thought, right, okay, that looks credible.
Yeah.
Possibility there could be something else out there. Let's
go.
go.
And
we
find
went,
it.
but you grew up in a haunted house, so you were halfway there anyway.
Yeah.
You had the experiences.
I think for us, I think that well, obviously I was a full believer, like I said, I grew up in a haunted pub. But for me, being now a paranormal investigator, I've realised, not to be more, probably yes, to be more sceptical, but I've realised just how much the outside elements, the wind, just the natural things going on can actually influence your investigation.
Wi-Fi masts overhead cables.
Wi-Fi masts overhead cables, yeah.
Even like, as daft as it sounds, like your mobile phone in your pocket, right?
Yeah,
now,
which we'll come on to that in a minute.
I started, I'm not going to name the team, but I started with a team, right? And this is a prime example. Now, this guy's been going for years. You would expect they would, like... Because, I'm learning from them, because I've come into it from scratch. So, a K2 meter's going off in this place, and I won't name the place either. And I'm thinking, wow, that's cool. I've never seen like this before. That device is lighting up. There must be something here, right? And then he went to his pocket and went, and it can't be my phone because look how far I'm standing away from it. So my brain clicked into gear and thinking, why is he saying it can't be my phone? Because I didn't even know that phones could affect.
No. So this goes on to when we're talking about equipment in a minute, but I want to stick to the entertainment side for a minute because like you say, we're not calling people out. We're seeing it as it is, and it is our own opinions. We're probably going to get a lot of backlash from the people that genuinely believe these, and we're not saying it's wrong to genuinely believe them. I think for me, I want people, whether you're an investigator or not, to just be a little bit more sceptical and just look into things a bit more. If it sounds too good to be true, then chances are it probably is.
Just a bit of common sense.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah. And I think
rocket science. It's not rocket science.
No, like I say, we're not scientists, and there's things that we try to learn about. Let's face it, and there's words in there, and sometimes we'll say, "Oh, he's lost me at that. I'm completely lost," because it is not layman terms. Some of the stuff we look into, the science and different things, and it does lose us.
Yeah.
But you don't need to be experts. That's the first thing. Nobody's an expert in this field. And nobody's an expert just because they're on TV. Because let me tell you about TV. This is my theory anyway. My theory is that Ghost Adventures, all those years ago, started out just like all of us, but for a reason. They had experiences, and they wanted to find out what it was.
Maybe.
But this is my take on it. I think that's how they started out. I think that once they realised what a franchise it could be, and that they could turn that into a career, a job.
Well, I think once they got signed by a TV
I think that's
channel,
when...
that was when it all changed.
I think that's when it changed, because I think now...
Slowly it changed.
Well, yes, because then you're pressurised then. If you put all in then to that to be in your career, and you've dropped out of whatever job you were doing before, I mean, I don't know what they did before, so I can't really comment, but let's say obviously they were working before, and they've given up all that life to then concentrate on this TV career, and then they're going to have to keep producing something that people are going to watch. I used to say to you years ago, why do we never see any episodes where nothing happens? Why do we ever see any episode where they say, well, we spent this many nights here, but we didn't find anything? Or just anything that would show me that they weren't going to every single place. That was for as an investigator. Obviously.
And another thing, my biggest problem is they'll show evidence, and they'll show something up, but they won't show what's behind what's in the, like a full.
Yeah, like when
and
you
I know
see
it's
a shadow,
hard to cover every piece
hard.
of area, but I know that I'm roughly figured out how that show's put together, and maybe
it is difficult, but you also have to remember when we tried to do it, because for people who haven't seen us particularly, and this isn't us plugging ourselves, but there's only ever 3 of us. We tried to have cameras on every single one of us, and if there isn't a camera on every single one of us, then that person the camera's not on has got a camera in the hand.
Yeah,
so
we try and lock off the room and then focus on each other and equipment.
When stuff's going on, or when stuff's happening, or when you naturally are investigating anyway, it is easy to take a couple of steps back. And we're not experts in film and TV and sound and, you know what I mean?
No.
Audio, visual and all that sort of stuff.
We started this with no clue whatsoever.
Absolutely. So, but my biggest point is that there's only 3 of us, and we find it difficult to keep everybody on camera. But once we are investigating, we pretty much figure out before, but once we press play, we then don't keep a tally of where everybody is. It just is what it is. We try to minimise that risk. But when you see TV, they've got their 3 or 4, 5, whatever investigators they've got, and then they've got a sound guy, and then you've got however many.
There's probably 10 to the crew.
So like when you see, like I remember seeing, I can't remember which show it was, but I remember seeing one where they said there's oh my God, there's a shadow figure on the wall, but it's not me, and I thought, right, and I knew that it was coming from the IR light, because we get the same thing, don't we?
Yeah.
IR light shadows. So they showed that it's not the investigators, and I thought, well, no, how many of the crew are behind there?
Exactly.
And so yes, that's my biggest gripe. But for me, for upcoming investigators, for people who are already out in the field, I know that a lot of people see something with bells and whistles on these shows for equipment, for example, and go out and get it because they think that that's what they should be doing and try and follow along. I think the best thing that's ever worked for us is not follow along and do our own experiments. Yeah.
However, it is good for people, right, that don't go out in the field and do just sit at home and watch these kinds of documentaries, because it is bringing people into the paranormal.
And it's because years ago nobody spoke about the paranormal.
No.
It was a taboo subject.
Exactly.
So yes, I do. Although I don't necessarily believe it's hurting the industry, it's making it better, because people are having these conversations.
It's hurting the field.
It's hurting the field. That's the thing. It's not hurting the industry.
But as investigators, we know it's impossible.
Yeah.
We go to 2, 3 locations and come away with nothing.
Yeah.
Sometimes, again, YouTube, people are putting videos out every single week of the most scariest place ever. This is the most scariest place we've been to. Yeah. This really, it just gets exaggerated. But each place, every time, is the worst place ever. However, our experience is, it doesn't happen. It's, in fact, if you get something you can't explain, it's, for me, for 3 years of spirit vision, and it's rare.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, 3 years for us to get something.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, to stop us in our tracks and freeze, it's took 3 years.
Absolutely.
So to be putting videos out every week and going, oh, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, is, in my eyes...
We don't just walk into a building.
It's just clickbait bullshit.
Well, that's it. And we spend 3 nights, if not more. Some locations that first one we spent nearly 2 months on and off. Not every night for 2 months, but up to 2 months there on location. So we spend 3 nights minimum on these locations. And so when you see our stuff, you think, God, they've got 8 or 9 things going on, or they've got 5 or 6 things going on. But you've got to remember that's so many cameras over 3 nights. It's 80 odd hours worth of footage. So.
And even that, saying that, just because it's a noise or it's... We can't
say it's paranormal.
We can't explain it, but we can't say it's a ghost that's doing that. We're just... Because we also won't say we've caught the best paranormal evidence or we've proved the existence of the afterlife. Yeah. We let you guys decide. We put the video on there, say, look, this is what we did. 3 nights here. This is what we captured, and feel free to comment.
And it's quite interesting to hear people's comments on stuff, because it does give you things to think, well, I didn't think of that. I will have a look, see if it could be this, not. Obviously, as long as they're not malicious. So you get malicious people, then just...
Well, we had a couple of people that were going, oh, you guys need to slow down. You need to, like, it's like constant, but what you've got to remember is
constant talking, wasn't it?
Yes, you've got to remember that when we put a YouTube video out, it's 3 nights compressed into 30 minutes. So we could show you 10 minutes of a spirit box doing nothing, but it just wouldn't make a video. And we try and keep our episodes short down.
But we are changing though. We have changed from that, because we have started putting in, but it is very difficult, like I say, when you're compressing 3 nights over 30 minutes. I think we stuck to 30 minutes because we didn't want to bore the hell out of people, didn't we? That's what the problem is. But I think for us, we don't really tell the story. I don't think we get our point across so much that we spend all this time and we do all this. Maybe.
Well, then maybe that's an idea for the future. Maybe we do spend a bit more time, and maybe we do tell more of a story.
I think so.
But you've got to balance the, like, keeping people's attention to. You don't want somebody to sit there and watch. I mean, I wouldn't want to sit there and watch like even 5 minutes worth of Spirit Box going through and getting nothing. It'd just bore the tits off me.
Really, I have to sit there for 3 nights worth.
Yes, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, as a viewer,
I know.
if I was watching that content, like that would.
Yeah, I know.
I would get fed up pretty quick.
I know what you're saying. I mean, that's it. And I'm not an editor. I've learned as I've gone. And if you look back at the early stuff, it's terrible.
Yeah, but is it though? For somebody that's just
I don't know.
Started off on your own that hasn't got a clue about editing software.
And it's cringy. Really cringy.
I like our first one. I really do like how we did our first. Yeah, absolutely.
I think I did that at like 3 o'clock one morning when I was up.
As cheesy as it is, I really like how we did that. That's another one. We spent months there, didn't we?
That's what I mean. That's the first one.
That wasn't just like a 3-night. That was like probably six more.
We didn't. We spent 2 months, but it was. I think we worked out.
No, I mean like going to and from the place.
Going to and from the place.
I'm not on about that video. I'm on about how long did we spend?
Oh, we were there going. We did filming there. We did B-roll there. We went did lives there.
Testing. We went originally to test cameras, didn't we? To see the night vision cameras.
So we were there for quite a bit, weren't we? But I actually think as well, and I do keep saying this, and I will, because like Lee says, it doesn't take us every week to put a video out because it takes so long to do. I have to sit through all that footage from all those cameras. And it can take me a month. The last one.
And then you've got the voice recorder.
And you've got the voice recorders. And you've got everything else. And so it can take months. And then obviously you've got to try and tell the story and make sure you've got the right bits and make sure your sound's all right.
Maybe we should maybe we should just go in with a mobile phone and go bump 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 done and out. I'd get bored. I'd get really bored.
It's not why we're doing it though, is it?
No, is it?
But so my point is this.
That was a joke.
I know it was. Our videos. I think that we can go back to Series 1, Episode 1, and I think that there's not necessarily that episode, but I mean over that whole series, and maybe some of Series 2, where we can say, oh, we now know that, we can explain that.
Which my point exactly, so the St. Joseph's, I'll nail one now.
Yes, that's what I was just thinking.
So the K2 meter going off in St. Joseph's, right?
Yeah.
Now, in my mind, because I'm only... we've not researched anything at this point.
This is our second episode.
We are convinced that a mobile phone, if you stand far away enough,
I don't even think. Hang on a minute. I think you might be wrong there. I get what you're saying. I think mine might be on. Even Rocky's might have been on, but I think they were on flight mode.
Right, okay. Well, let's say even that we know now after researching it, flight mode gives off a signal.
Yeah.
So either way, you've got to scrap that evidence. But
absolutely,
I'm leading back into that. When we went there, we were convinced that flight mode on a mobile phone. Let's go back to that.
Yeah.
Would not affect a K2 meter.
Yeah.
But now we've done our research.
Yeah.
And building our own equipment.
And testing it.
And testing the equipment and also researching. When you build these pieces of equipment, you understand how they work.
Of course
and you also then have a knowledge of what
triggers
this equipment. Mm-hmm. So it gives you sort of like a better understanding. Mm-hmm. So then, as a skeptic, then I want to really like, right, what else?
What else?
So what else triggers this thingy? Absolutely. So anyway, I don't even know what
we were on about that we can go back and debunk even our stuff, and I think it's a good idea to go back and debunk our stuff because I think if you're not evolving and learning, if your passion in the paranormal is just to go out, have a good time, maybe you like doing the Ouija board, maybe you like doing whatever, and that's as far as it goes for you, then that's fine. But if you're an investigator that wants to research it like we do, because at this point I don't really care if we say it's not ghosts and it's dimensions or it's this or it's that. To me now it's about the end goal of trying to figure something out, not just sitting there.
Well, it's about why the who, the why, and the what.
That's it. So I don't really care what the who, the why, and the what is, but
no, I still do because I need to know that.
No. I need to know what it is. But what I'm saying is I don't care. It's not like I don't care if it's ghosts that win or it's dimensions that win or it's
right,
just okay. I don't care about who, the why, and the what. I want to know what it is, but I don't care which one it is. So even if it's
but you also want to know
ghosts,
if it's not natural, like,
absolutely,
if it can be explained.
Absolutely. So if it turns out that all of this is just naturally explained, then fine.
I'd be gutted.
I'd be gutted. I would be gutted. I will say that I'd be gutted. But I do think that if you are one of those investigators like us that want to get in the research, are in the middle of the research, whatever, it is a good idea to go back over your past stuff. And even if we do another 10 years, I think we would always go back and see what else now that we've learned, because science is always evolving. You should always evolve.
Absolutely. And I feel like by doing that, like looking back now, we're pretty dumb at the beginning.
Yeah, I think
like, we were pretty stupid, weren't we, at the beginning? Yeah. And looking back now, but then listen, by going back and then realising, well, by researching and
then realising.
Yes, and then realising and going back, you've learned by your mistakes, so you are evolving.
Absolutely, and I think as investigators, that's what I'm saying, even 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, if you're not doing that, and your goal is
I don't know many that would sit here and call on their previous episodes and say, actually, I can explain that now.
Yeah, maybe. But then there's different people that
doing it for different reasons. Exactly.
So like Lee said, this one episode, and let's go into equipment now, because this one episode that he's on about, the St. Joseph's one, where we were in this cell, and it was a pretty creepy place, don't get me wrong, it's really creepy, wasn't it? We found markings on the walls.
Yeah, where the children had scratched their names on the walls.
It was awful. It was pretty awful.
It was a prison door where they've been obviously locked in.
Yeah, it was pretty horrific to be in there. And as far as we knew, and I actually don't even think I've found out since that anybody's actually documented that. I mean, in terms of paranormal teams or urban explorers, I'm not even sure if that's been documented.
I've not seen anybody mention it before, and I've not seen anybody mention it
after,
since.
But you can't get in there now anyway. But anyway, so we're in this cell.
Well, allegedly.
So we were in this cell, and I think we had a K2 out. I think we had a couple of cat balls. I don't know. We had various things, didn't we?
No, we didn't have. They weren't even a thing then.
Weren't they?
No, what we had, I'll tell you exactly what we had. And they're another thing that I can go into, but we'll leave that again, the cat balls.
Yeah, well, we can do all that in a minute. But
right, so what we had out was we had a K2 meter on the bed, and we had a vibration sensor on the corner.
That's right, yes, we did. A vibration sensor. Every time there's a vibration, there's a light. Well, let me tell you this before we go into the K2 and the mobile phones and stuff. We worked out pretty early on, and I don't think you see it after maybe the third or fourth episode, that we actually use that vibration sensor, because Lee has got a big mouth.
Deep voice.
He's got a big mouth and a deep voice, and
just a deep voice.
Just a deep voice, and his voice can kick off the vibration sensor.
That one, but we now have the EDI Plus, which is
completely different kettle of fish.
Yes.
So yeah, even the spirit box going with that vibration sensor, it would kick it off, wouldn't it?
Yes.
That particular one. It was just one with lights. So let's do the K2 one now on the mobile phone. So back then, bit dumb, bit naive, believed that, I think because we were brought up with the TV, and I think because the first experience we had, people were doing lives, and it never occurred to us about mobile phones at all. Had it?
No.
And then, I don't know what point, I can't remember at what point, that we realised that the mobile phones are having an effect on the equipment, or what episode, or how far along in our journey that
I can remember.
You can remember, so go on then, what can you remember?
Right, so we were in a farm.
Yeah.
And we were setting up.
Yeah.
And somebody else was in the building.
Yes, I know.
Do you remember?
Yes, I know.
And they were live, but they were live.
And they were live on their YouTube channel.
Yes, but they were live a story up and 3 rooms along. So
they were a while away from us.
Way away from us.
Yes, I remember now.
And I remember looking at you and looking at the K2 and thinking, I wonder.
I think we'd all had the conversation off camera, like, we couldn't make our mind up, because we were like, it's going off, and then it'd stop, wouldn't it? And then all of a sudden it would go again, and I'd be saying, and then it'd stop again, and I said, it's almost like it's pulsing, but it didn't make any sense.
But when that person left, it went
just
flat.
Stopped. Yeah, it stopped and it went dead, didn't it?
Yeah.
And yes, I remember that now. I do remember that. So at that point, I think that was our first indication that something wasn't all too right with mobile phones.
Yeah.
And we started turning ours off, didn't we?
Yes, from then on.
From then on, we started turning ours off. And if you remember that, from going on from then, I can't remember now. I remember the farmhouse. Can't remember what episode it is, but if you look on our episodes, you'll see that from that particular one, there's us saying we're turning mobile phones off, and there's no K2.
Yeah.
We get rid of the K2. We use the K2 as a baseline when we go in.
Yes.
We use that anyway, even though the majority of places we go in have got no electricity. And I mean, not even connected up to electricity because we're in the middle of jack back nowhere, in the middle of a wood somewhere.
Well, that doesn't mean there isn't power lines.
Absolutely, but that's further on in our journey that we figured this out.
Okay.
So one night during lockdown, in fact, wasn't that the same farmhouse that we were doing the laser?
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, during lockdown anyway, we were all a little bit bored, so we decided to investigate a few things. We investigated mobile phones. We investigated the Necrophonic app.
Huh.
We investigated the lasers that we had going off.
Yeah.
I think there may be a few more things there, but anyway, let's stick to the K2 one and the mobile phones for a minute. We mainly did our research into mobile phones, and we did it. We've actually did it in a few places. The one that we filmed that's on our Instagram is actually here in our home, but we've done it out in the middle of nowhere just to make sure that we've got a baseline on this. But we can tell you now, and you don't have to take our word for it. Go and try it out for yourself. Go and try it out for yourself. Watch what we did. Get your own ideas. Maybe you can come up with something better. Go on to Spirit Vision Paranormal Research. Have a look at our videos and look at the K2 one. You'll see the live video there that we did, and then you'll see the one that we edited afterwards of the live and what we were doing here behind the scenes. So we started off, we did normal signal coming in from mobile phones.
Yep.
K2 and an EDI.
EDI plus.
K2 is used not just for the paranormal, built specifically for finding out electromagnetic fields within buildings for powers and stuff. That's what that's used for. The strength of. That's what that's used for. For people who didn't know that, that's what it's used for. Then been brought into somewhere, and I can't remember where, some point along the lines of paranormal, and it gets used for communication with. And the EDI that was built specifically for paranormal research.
Yes, because its parameters are set differently. So the parameters on an EDI are built a little bit of a like barrier around them, so Wi-Fi can't affect it. It can if you put your phone right on top of it, but if you've got a phone, well, we showed you. Just have a look at the video.
Yeah, have a look at the video.
It can't affect it.
So basically, the K2 is trigger happy. The K2, any sort of signal it comes in, it'll pick it up.
Yes.
Yeah. So we did that. We looked at normal signal coming in. Then we did it with our home Wi-Fi on, and then we did it again with my 4G on because I did it on my phone, and we filmed screen recording of my phone so you can see when we were turning it on and off. And then we went live, didn't we, on Instagram? Yes. We told our viewers what we were doing. So when we did that, the K2 was going insane, absolutely insane, wasn't it?
Yes.
And it was, and the EDI, no blip.
No blip. But I'll tell you another thing, and this is a good way of like just, I don't know, say watching YouTube, of realising the difference between a hit on a K2 and a signal from a phone. So absolutely. What we found was when we've had hits on our K2, it's been a bang and gone. It's been it'll light up to orange or green or whatever, and then it's out, or you might get 2 flashes off it. Yet what you find with Wi-Fi and mobile phones, you'll see a pulse. It'll pulse
on and off.
Pulse,
and then it'll stop.
Pulse, yeah.
And then it'll go again.
Pulse.
But
pulse.
I mean, there's a big break in between it. We actually did it, didn't we? We actually did it.
And
I think on the video, we actually had asked questions on it to make it look
legit.
genuine.
Yeah.
As if we were not faking it, but as if we were doing an investigation, as if we didn't know this was happening. It did look legit. We were saying, was anybody here? It was going off. And then we'd ask for something else and it'd stop. And then, so have a look at the video. So, but like I say, don't take our word for it. Look at it yourself. You know, it's all stuff that you can do. We did this in our kitchen, I think at 10, 11 o'clock one night, which is generally how stuff goes on in our house. The other thing is that we noticed, I think that actually I can remember the first time we realised about the REM pods is when we turned the light on in the kitchen.
Yeah, switch kitchen light on.
We switched the kitchen light on, and my daughter nearly had a fright because she heard it, didn't she? And it had a reaction on the on the REM pod.
On the REM pod, yeah.
And I was turning it on and off, flicking it on and off, and it was doing it. And then we realised, and we've actually ourselves been tricked on that on lives, have we not?
Yeah.
Our very first lives. You look, our REM pod is going off. We like, oh my God, this is strange. In our heads, the only thing can affect a REM pod is round the aerial, but it's not. It actually works out the mobile phone. Again, go and check it out yourself. So that's that. What was the other one? Oh, we did the Necrophonic app. Let's do this one. There is people out there. See, I don't want people to think we're slating anybody or telling you which way you should or shouldn't be doing it. This is what we've found. This is what these viewers have been asking for. And again, look. Find out for yourself. Don't take our word for it. Don't write in the comments that you think that we're full of shit and it's the best thing you've ever used. Use your common sense. do your research. If you can come up with some credible research that you can show me that works, send it over to us, because I would love to see it. We're not saying that we are right. We can only tell you based on what we found. So we did the Necrophonic app.
Yes.
The first thing that pissed me off with that, if I'm going to be dead honest now, is I did look at all the complaints from it.
This is why we did it.
If you look at the comments on your app store, the things that piss me off is the people who aren't paranormal investigators, who aren't YouTubers, are the people that saying, my mum died 6 months ago, I've been trying to get hold of my mum and I can't. And it's quite worrying, isn't it? And they can't get the money back. So anyway, so fast forward on to that. So we did the Necrophonic app. We ran it several times. We ran it forwards, backwards, with the echo effect on. We took out the background noise, didn't we? We did everything that showed. We did all of them. And what did we finally?
Well, we found that after so long, it basically repeats a lot of what it's saying, but it takes a long time. And the reason for it to take a long time is because it's a 5-channel pre-programmed data bank.
Absolutely.
It does randomly spit out bits of words and
mishmashes
words that don't make sense. However, there is words thrown in there that do make sense. And the other thing is, it doesn't matter where you open that app up, it goes off instantly. It doesn't matter where you go.
Yeah.
And just knowing that it doesn't matter where you go with that thing, it's an instant hit.
Yeah. My theory
to me, just raised alarm bells straight away.
It did at one point mimic Lee. Lee said something. We were running it in the living room, and Lee said something. I can't remember what he said now, but he said something, and it mimicked you, didn't it?
And all the voices are coming through with the same accent.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's all pre-programmed. And when you get a voice, when you get a word, it's usually a scary.
Yeah.
You know, it's
and I'll
very
tell you
scary.
another thing, because I did actually research. I know the person that made the app, and when I looked into the original one, because he's made 2. This is the first one that he made. I can't think what it's called. And it states on the...
If you read it, it does tell you, it gives
you
you indication.
It's for entertainment only.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, and it states it in
So I sent him a message saying, listen mate, I'm researching this app, and got no response. And before that, he was responding to me until I brought the app.
Doesn't want to
he didn't want, and he hasn't spoke to me ever since.
No.
So
and you take that,
make of that what you want.
Make of that what you want. Listen, we hear this all the time as investigators on our Instagram channel. It's the best thing we've ever seen. We go somewhere and we get stuff, but I will tell you now, the people that I know on YouTube that are just YouTubers, aren't paranormal investigators, just YouTubers, just do it for the subs and the likes and the whatever, they use that app because they know.
Of course.
They know it's going to spit out a few words.
More than a few.
So what we did was we made our own off-camera questions of 10, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, things like, are you standing behind me? What room are you in? Are you male or female?
Say my name. What's your name?
Yeah, what's your name? Just the usual but basic ones. We did a list of 10, and each time we did them, and we didn't get any responses.
Not
but it
one
did,
that responded to
not intelligently,
no.
Which isn't uncommon for paranormal investigators to not get stuff that's intelligent. But we did find that it does spit out quite a lot of, and usually, like I say, scary word. Don't take our word for it. Go and check it out for yourself. I will personally never use it.
No.
And it uses your microphone. That's another thing that I want to
And you're using a mobile phone.
Using a mobile phone.
Out, you might as well scrap that.
That's it. You're using a mobile phone. That's a good thing. That's a good point. You also, when you open that app up for the first time, it asks if it can use your microphone. Because my theory, your theory was different to mine when we started researching it. My theory was, if we were to say, what room are you in, or what is your name, does it pick out, and that I've said name, and it'll spit out a name? Although we never found any evidence of that, did we?
No.
We didn't find any evidence of that, but that was my theory behind it. I'm thinking, is it listening and picking up certain trigger words? Because obviously, we all watch these programs, we all use similar taglines of, are you here, what's your name, where'd you come from, what room are you in, are you over there, are you over here, you know. We all use the similar sort of script. Was it picking up certain words and spitting out credible answers? Although we didn't find that.
I didn't see any evidence of that.
Didn't see any evidence of that. Cat balls.
Yeah, so...
We started off thinking it was... Because I remember we were in...
Well, we started off by, they were going off so frequently, we got a box and put the box over it, so no wind could affect it.
We thought it was wind, didn't we?
But then you got vibration. So what I did one night was I took one apart And when I took it apart, if you look at the spring inside, it's so mega sensitive. Like I'm talking, like just my voice would set it off.
Yes, absolutely. Your
Absolutely would set it off. A train a mile away going past would set it off. You wouldn't know that train was there, but it would set it off.
Absolutely.
So for me, what I've done now is I do think they're good too, because if you believe that a spirit can come up to that device and tap it, then it should light up. So I got the idea, I don't know why I got an antique car, but I got a little antique toy kid's car. I filled it with blue tack. I put the ball in the blue tack so nothing can affect it, and I put the toy on top of a table and left it. And ever since we've done that, it's never activated.
Never activated, no it hasn't. But again, it's all about common sense, and it's all about knowing your equipment and knowing your surroundings.
But these are only things we're learning as we go along. Like you say, we're learning every single... And there's probably hundreds of things that we don't understand. But as we get further, we'll probably...
Yeah. So our latest thing that we found, and we had a bit of an argument, me and you, in a building one night, is the REM pod was going off in that latest castle. The REM pod was going off and going off and going off. And then we moved rooms, didn't we? Now we're in a castle, so you can imagine the thickness of the walls at this point.
And this is the same REM pod as you see on...
Ghost Adventures. Lee wanted to get that one.
That Gary Galka built.
Yeah. Lee wanted to get that particular one, even though I didn't necessarily agree with him, but you wanted to get that, didn't you, so that you could research all of it. And obviously when you reassearch it, you've got to research just more than one.
Well, you've got to research the one that's being used, the majority of that's being used by the majority of people.
That's it. So we got it, and it was going off. I think it might have actually been the first night that we'd used it on location, I think, that particular point. And we had another REM pod next to it. I think we might have had a REM pod on the floor as well.
For that reason.
So when you see us on our episodes and something goes off, we're like, oh my God. But what we're always saying is, that's great. If you can set that REM pod off, let's assume that this is an intelligent being from wherever, ghost, alien, whatever, sets off that REM pod. It's not difficult. A 4-year-old child could do it, a 3-year-old child could do it. Once you've figured out that once you put your hand near that aerial, or your body or whatever, your energy near that aerial, it goes off. So our logical thinking is, if you can work that one, you can work the other one. So then can you jump? And we've never had that.
No, and if we did get that, then I would absolutely sit up and take note.
Absolutely. Or again, we'll ask them to do something else, another piece of equipment, or there's an EDI there. We'll always ask for something. Even 3 things. I mean, we've got music boxes with temperature sensors, with REM pods built into them. Get them to do as many as you can get them to do. We haven't necessarily experienced that ourselves, but that's the thing. So anyway, so we're in this building, the REM pod's going off, we move rooms, and it just occurred to me, and I don't know why it occurred to me, about signals that were floating through our airways in, I want to say atmosphere, but I'm not a scientist, so bear with me if I get
like electrical, Wi-Fi, magnetic,
radio stations. Obviously, you've got your TV signals that are coming round. You've got your sky. There's God knows how many satellites in our orbit. Phone masts. There's now Elon Musk that's got Wi-Fi that's coming from space.
I was just going to say that you even got satellites.
Absolutely. So that many satellites going through our atmosphere, outer atmosphere in space, orbiting our planet. You'd be very naive to think that there's nothing that can affect it between. Absolutely. I mean, you've just said then about a train. A train so many miles away could have vibrated, and you wouldn't have necessarily known. Like,
we wouldn't even feel that, but that ball would 100% because
that's what I'm saying.
That spring is that sensitive.
So we're having this conversation. I'm saying, yeah, but what if it signals? And he's going, don't be so stupid. We're in this building, blah blah blah. And I'm going, yeah, but think about it. We're behind thick walls. It makes sense. The further in this building we go, the less likely that this thing's going to go off. And then I think the 3rd night we were there, we really realised it, didn't we? We were upstairs in the same sort of location as where we were the first night. And let me tell you this though, when we were downstairs and we were doing a spirit box session, our spirit box session, I can even run mine in real time if I ever had to, if anybody ever wanted me to, and I've always offered to do, we don't get a blip. Not one radio station. There may be a little tiny pling. Yeah, because we
take away the aerial from it, don't we? To give it a bit better chance.
I mean, I've heard people tell me, look at this, listen to my spirit box session. I've heard classic FM come through, as clear as that classic FM. So, we don't get any of that, right? We don't get any of that. And like I say, if anybody ever wants to call us out on that, I will put on YouTube absolutely an hour's worth of our stuff and let you listen to the spirit box. We always
get anything that we film. We always keep the full.
Always keep the full footage. So anyway, when we were downstairs, normal thing, no radio stations. We went upstairs this third night, REM pods going off. Only a couple of times. It wasn't continuous like the first night, but it was going off.
2 or 3 times.
2 or 3 times. And then we decided after a bit we would get the spirit box out. The second we did the spirit box, every radio station you've ever heard of was coming through, to the point where we couldn't ask questions, could we?
No.
Because it was just spitting
interference.
out.
It was interference.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a full where you hear the radio station. It was just bits of...
Yeah, but years ago when we used to twist our little knob and tune our radios
really?
in. All right, yeah, okay. So years ago, people who were as old as me and you, before we had the digital button, we used to, wind the knob up and you'd hear it, wouldn't you, going through the things. And that kind of bit what it was like. Then we went downstairs. And I said to Lee, and it's funny now, we're not getting any of these radio station blips coming through, interference on the spirit box, and this REM pod's not going off. And it occurred to us we were on a hill in the middle of nowhere, and quite nearby where it was, I said to Lee, as a child or as a teenager, I would go up on that nearest hill and we would use our CB radio because it was the best place to get
However,
signal.
we were having I would say a debate.
A debate.
So we were having a debate. But that was just speculation because we didn't have any tools that could read.
No, this was just us debating it in a building and saying how strange it was.
Well, yeah, we couldn't read what.
Well, when we come
us.
home and we carried on this debate, we decided, didn't we, to look in. Because obviously we all know that there's certain things floating about our airspace, like I say, your TV, your radio.
5G, 4G.
But I don't know what necessarily it is. So we did look into it. Lee did find a piece of equipment, and Lee has purchased a piece of equipment.
And it's cool.
And it is good. And
not only does this piece of equipment tell you the strength of the signals and what the signals are, it tells you what they're coming from as well.
So it's microwave, whether it's your mobile phone, whether it's your Wi-Fi, whether it's your radio, whatever it is.
I call it a faker's nightmare.
A faker's nightmare, yeah, it's true, it is a faker's nightmare. But for us, it's a bloody brilliant piece of equipment.
Absolutely.
Because it means
I'm so excited to
in
use it.
real time.
And it's a data logger, so it's logging, constantly logging and logging the data.
So yeah, in real time we can, because I mean you can.
We can now show a piece of equipment going off.
And truly debunk it if we
time
need
key it with the
Absolutely.
Data logger, and go, there you go. That's confused. It doesn't know what the signal is, or it's not registered a signal, and the REM pod's going off, or it's registered a signal,
absolutely.
and it can be explained.
Absolutely.
I'm fingers crossed that's what it does.
Well, hoping so, aren't we?
Yeah.
Hoping so. So yeah.
Well,
so
I've actually tested that, and everything I put it up against, it's.
Lee tested it against our microwave yesterday dinner time.
Yes, and it told me it was a microwave.
And he was filming it with his mobile phone, so not only did it tell him it was a microwave, it even told him it was a mobile phone.
It was a mixed signal. It told me the mobile phone was mixed in with it. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. So as more and more things, as we go more and more digitalised in this world, and more things rely on Wi-Fi, there is going to be more and more things floating about our airspace. And even know that we, urban explorers as well as paranormal investigators, in 99.9% of the buildings, or maybe 99.5% of the buildings we go into, there's no electricity even connected, hasn't been for years.
No, it's been shut off. There's
definitely no Wi-Fi because these people left in the early 2000s or 1990s or even earlier than that.
Well, that doesn't mean there isn't a phone mast.
Absolutely. I tell you what, another thing is I would like to check out. You know the wind turbines?
Yeah.
I wonder what signal they pull in.
Don't know.
Because
but
that is movement and energy.
Well, now we do. We'll have a drive up and find one.
So I
maybe
think
even climb it.
We can just tell you. No, I won't be climbing. I'd pay you to climb it though. I'd like to see that. Who likes me to film that? Lee climbing this.
Yeah, not going to happen.
So look, we can only tell you from our point of view, and we've kept pretty silent on this, haven't we?
Yeah.
I don't like to do these things. I don't quite like.
Well, to be honest, I didn't even want to do this episode, but people that speak to me on Instagram will know that I can't stand people that just fake the shit out of the stuff they're doing.
Yes.
And not only that, I can't stand the people that are doing it for money and they're saying it's genuine.
I think that's what it is for
all
you.
paranormal's
like
great, right?
Yes, that reason massively outweighs it, because to me, again, you are not doing it for any purpose but your own. And I wouldn't look, if we could bring something in a little bit like TV where we could say for entertainment purposes only, so that your viewers know to look out. And
I think YouTube should make that happen.
There must be something that it can do, but it's YouTube, isn't it? I mean, this is freedom of speech. My biggest problem is, even when these people get called out, not by us, but by other people, or somebody will make a suggestion, they get really
My problem isn't even that these are paid. My problem isn't even that these people are making money. My problem is
that they're making it falsely
from innocent people. That's my problem.
Absolutely.
I mean, we do it for we don't make any money on it. I mean,
not a thing.
We don't even
monetize our stuff.
We don't even put everything's funded by us. We didn't get in it for other people to fund our hobby.
No, this is our hobby, and this is how it is.
Going back to Instagram, and people know me on Instagram, right? I'll know that how I feel and how we work as a team, and how faking isn't going to be a possibility. If we can go back and explain stuff, we'd rather go back and explain it
and say
than leave it sat there and go, ooh, that looked good, or that was not into
wrong.
that. Just
sorry,
going back to that thing.
Yeah. So if you're an up-and-coming paranormal investigator, maybe you want to get into it, maybe you're already into it. My biggest piece of advice, I hear this all the time, people say, what would you tell a new investigator? If you could give them one piece of advice, what would you give them? I hear people say, get a camera, get a decent this, get a decent that. My biggest piece of advice to you would be, trust your team.
Oh, you've got to trust your team.
Got to trust your team. I will never understand, right, why there's people out there who've got teams of 16 or more or 10 or more. I'll never understand it, because you can't.
How can you control that?
You can't control the environment. No, you can't control the environment.
You can't.
Absolutely. And they do it at night. People seem to think that we do it at night because ghosts come out at night. We do it at night because
it's quieter.
It's quiet. We can control the situation more. There's no road traffic. There's no.
In fact, truth be known, I would rather film in colour and film with the lights on. However,
I've done that
unfortunately, some of the places
we go to, we
can't film with the light on.
No, not unless you want to see us running.
Chased
like
by security.
One of those black and white films with Laura Nardi, with that music playing, with us all running around the building. That's what it would be like.
Benny
Hill. So trust your investigators. Trust who you are with. This is not just for the Ouija board, but this is for everything. But we did a prime example of this. We got the Ouija board. We debated on it for years, didn't we, as a team, whether we were going to get one. And we thought, well, sod it, we'll get one. And we got one, and we've done it 3 times. And I think maybe 40 minutes, maybe an hour, but no more than an hour each time. And it didn't move, not a blip. And given the fact that fine motor movements in our hands as human beings would move that, and subconsciously you can move it. It didn't move, did it?
Do you know what I've been told though? I had somebody say to me, yeah, but if you're a skeptic, maybe it's the energy you're going in with. Believe you me, when my hand's on that thing, I goddamn want it to move.
I know,
Trust me. So it isn't about the energy.
I've heard that
because
about
I am hoping with every fibre in my body that planchette moves, but it doesn't.
I can't.
And it hasn't.
And
not yet.
And you've got to trust your team. I know that if that moved, right, that I could look at any one of them two and say, was it you? And they'd say, sorry, my hand slipped.
Yeah,
or
absolutely
not. And I would believe.
But we wouldn't do it in the first place.
Well, no, but I'm saying if it moved, for whatever reason, even if it was a hand slip, I know that I could look at you two, and you two could look at me, and we'd say,
I
mean, on camera now, if there's a bang, Rocky will go, oh, sorry, that was moving my foot. Or I'll go, did you hear that? And I go, sorry, bang my head. Or sorry, I moved my coat. We do document it. So trust the team that you're with. That's very, very important. If you don't trust that, if you don't feel like you can sit across a Ouija board and ask that person if they move that planchette, right, and you don't trust the answer coming back, are they really the right team member for you? That's all I'm going to say. But just remember a part on that. Just remember that is that there is, I can't remember the exact words off the top of my head, but there is fine motor skills in our body. I did it as when I was training to be a nursery nurse all those years ago. We had to do fine motor skills and large motor skills of children and how, you develop those.
Right, okay.
So yes, it is possible to subconsciously move that planchette. You are able to not know, a little bit like when you do the human bloody pendulum thing. I personally can't stand that. It's great when you're doing a public investigation because it gets the public involved and it gets them talking about, and it brings them into the conversation of paranormal. However, we all know that we can stand in one place, even with our eyes shut, and we are going to move about all over the just bear that in mind. But yes, definitely trust your team members. Just look, if you get something that you think is credible evidence, don't be scared to research the hell out of it even if you end up debunking it. Even if you have to end up and say, my bad, that was us, we hadn't checked it, or we left the door open, or whatever, even if it's to criticise yourself, don't be scared, because I do think that the paranormal community is the most bitchiest community I've ever known.
Damn right.
And I don't believe myself that there's any para-unity. I don't believe it. I think people like to spout it, and I think there's pockets.
Yes,
there is pockets of people.
I've met some good friends.
Oh, we've met some amazing friends. There is pockets of it. But the majority of it is no para-unity. Everybody's jealous of everybody, and we stay out of that hole.
I couldn't give a shit about views, like subs.
Or whether somebody's got anything better than me or whatever. But until we all learn to work together, it's not going to help.
And you should. It helps, because I've had a couple of people. I can't remember what I did the other. Right, so that thing I've just bought, somebody reached out to me and went, so even on flight mode, come on phone, and I went, yeah, mate, this is what.
Yeah.
And like absorbed it and went, oh, thank you so much. I love asking you guys, because
you'll tell us.
We're learning, but then we're learning from.
Yes, because there is
people. It's
people.
not that like we're dead clever and we're figuring it all out.
No, absolutely not.
I haven't got a clue.
Absolutely not. What we base our research on is usually come from a very tiny little bit of hearing something from somebody else, or seeing something from somebody else that we've gone, hang on a minute, and we built on that, and it's just naturally evolved. Yes. You know, like that. You know, that bit of debate that we had, that husband and wife moment in that castle, has now gone into actual us finding a piece of equipment that can help us.
Can now stop us arguing.
I don't know if we'll ever do that, but yeah. Don't be afraid to criticise, even if it's yourself. Don't be scared to do that, because I think until we get a movement of paranormal investigators, not people that are in it because they lost the mum or the dad or the sister or the brother, and they need to believe, because I do believe there is some people out there who are genuinely hurting, who are mourning and can't get out that loop, that just need
an answer,
something. Yeah. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm saying that's fine. If that's what you need, that's fine. But if you are into it for research like us, share your stuff, because we've spoken to a few teams now where they've had the same experience or very, very similar experiences to us, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's weird.
I mean, like I say, people that know me will know that up until probably, I don't know, I would say up until that. We had the voices, and then we had that incident that happened that I just didn't believe. However, since that happened, and we've had a room lit up, which is similar to what somebody else has had.
We've had the mimicking on the. And
we've had that old lady that come through. Something is going on. Yes. Definitely. Even as a skeptic, I am telling you, my experience, something is going on. What that something is,
can't tell
I've
you.
Not figured out yet.
Can't tell you.
And probably won't figure out, but I just.
And I believe there's a portion of the science field out there that know a little bit more than us of what might be going on, but they don't tell us. I'm not even necessarily sure that I'm convinced that it's such a. I don't know, because I'm editing this episode now, right? And you can only take our word for this. And I said to you, should we leave it in or not? We get a voice. Lias on the spirit box.
So this is the witch's house.
Yes. What's my name, or can you say my name, or something along those lines? And the first voice that comes out is, and I think it says, all right, Lee. Lee can hear Lee, but he doesn't know what it actually says. We've had the kids on it and didn't tell them what we heard to see if they come up, but they heard Lee, but they couldn't.
They heard the same
but they don't know what they heard. And then the second voice sounds like somebody saying Lee, and that's somebody being Lee's nan. And I asked you, didn't I, should we leave it in or not? And you can only take our word for that, because obviously you won't know what Lee's nan sounds like.
It sounds that much like her. I dare even show it to my mum.
No. And it made us both go cold, didn't it?
Even after years and years that my nan's not been here, I know it would affect her,
break
so
her heart.
I've left it.
Yeah, so we've left it. So we didn't know whether to put it in or not. And you've only got, like I say, they've only got our word for it. That's what your nan sounded like. I mean, I could probably try and pull out footage, but I don't want to go that deep into it, because that's your family, and maybe for us personally.
Yeah, no, I'm happy that it sounds like it.
Anyway, and I want to say as well is the gentleman that come through first sounds like a Scouser, and we've had him come through loads of times with Lee.
But they are everywhere, Scousers, you know that, right?
Yes, I know that, but it does sound the same. Yeah, hopefully not in the same buildings as us at the same time. It does sound like the same or similar tones of voice, and I'm going to compile them all together, and we will find somebody better than cleverer than us that can compare whatever they compare with the audio side of it to see if they can conclusively come up with it's possibly the same person or same tone or whatever. So my point to this was, I'm necessarily sort of leaning on the edge of, is it interdimensional what we're experiencing rather than afterlife? But then we get that thrown in the mix like your nan's voice, and then it just throws it all up in the air again for me.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm at. All I know is that I'm at the point, I don't know, I'm at the point that I know something's going on. Definitely something's going on.
But what, we're not sure?
No.
We can't put our finger on it?
No, so I'm not at the point where I'm 100% in all in and like, it's the afterlife, because absolutely not. No. I'm not even going there. But something is going on. What's causing that something? I really haven't got a clue. And maybe there's people out there that may, like you say, maybe have a bit more of a clue than even we do. But I can't say it's the afterlife.
No, I can't. And that's my problem. I can't.
I wouldn't put me.
I want to just throw this out there as well for investigators that are listening to this. If anybody investigators are listening to this, might just be.
If anybody's listening to it.
Maybe nobody's listening to us waffle on. We never know.
Are you there?
We had an experience in a house, in a farmhouse, about 2.5 years ago now, where we were running the spirit box session, and I heard on editing, not actually live there on in the investigation, but during when I was going through the footage, Lee and Rocky have a conversation through the spirit box. Now, if anybody who does this knows, when you listen to your footage, you know the difference between them talking in a room and that coming through a spirit box, and they weren't talking. You can see that they weren't talking. It
definitely mimics us, doesn't it?
It mimics us, and I know that particular conversation they'd had earlier in the night, and it's all mimicked you two. And anybody, we always say, like when we go to family members and say, can you listen to this? We never tell them what we think it says.
No, we let them decide.
We'll say, can you just listen to this, and then
what do you hear?
What do you hear? And sometimes they say no. Sometimes they come up with completely different words to us, don't they? Yeah. And we've had a few family members say, oh my God, that sounds like Lee and Rocky. And the reason I'm saying it, and I'm going to throw it out there, is any paranormal investigators that have had something similar. If you've had something similar, have you got footage that you can share with me, and can we have a conversation about it? Because I cannot find, and this is another thing, it's very difficult to find any other paranormal investigator that's had the same experience on you, because every time you type it into Google to see if anybody's had that similar experience, it's I've had the best demon. Oh my God, look at us in this house. There was the best, and it comes up with all the crap that comes up with the taglines for YouTube, and you can't find it. So let's try and get something going here where paranormal investigators speak to each other. If you've had that particular experience or something similar, we've had somebody come to us as a real seasoned investigator tell us that they have filmed in a room and they've seen somebody in that room
wasn't even there.
That wasn't even on that island that night, and can prove that he was somewhere else in the country. I haven't seen the footage, so I can't verify that. Lee's not seen the footage. No. We were going to take them by word. And I'm not being funny if I'm asking you for footage. It's not because I don't believe you, but I would like to hear compare it.
Yeah, absolutely. Even any teams that or anybody that's actually researching.
Yeah, reach out to us. We want to speak to you, not because we want to say you're doing it right or you're doing it wrong, or we've found this and
because
you found that. We want to compare. We want to hear your thoughts on it. There might have been stuff that we've not even thought of yet. There might be stuff that you've not even thought of yet that we can help you with. Reach out. Come and speak to us. We had put a thing out, didn't we, on Instagram? And
we had a few people come back.
But not many.
No, hardly any.
Hardly any. When you think of how many followers we've got across the two accounts.
And when you think how many people out there that are doing the paranormal.
Yeah. So I think we're ready to end. So if you're a paranormal investigator and you want to get in the research side of it, or maybe you're in the middle of the research, maybe you've been through it and you found that what we're saying is a load of crap, come and speak to us. Maybe we'll get you on. If you want to come on, maybe we'll get you on. If you are somebody sitting at home that likes to watch the YouTube series of like us, or even anybody else that you got your favourite team, not just TV teams, I hope you've taken something from this. I hope you sit there and think that you'll just use your common sense a bit more.
Even if we've said something that triggers something and you think that makes sense, then it's been worth doing this episode. However, before you stop,
go on.
You were editing The Witch's House, and I wanted to ask you
I
wanted to ask like how it's going and
yes. Oh, it's going.
What it's going to be?
It's going very slowly.
Yeah. Well, I figured that.
I've been doing it since November last year. Haven't I? No. Yeah, November. I think I've been editing it since last year.
Yes, just before Christmas. Yeah.
Just before Christmas, I have been poorly though, so
yeah.
That'll still.
And we've had COVID in the house.
Yeah, and all that stuff.
But
so it's taken me a long time to edit it. I've done the first night. But what you haven't heard, and what the viewers are going to get to hear if they watch our stuff, is a bit later on. You say witches, it says Pendle.
Really?
It says Pendle, and then it says, I can't remember. Okay, you're gonna have to. I know what the responses are, but I can't necessarily remember in the order that you've asked these.
No, I just wanted to know if you were close to finishing.
Oh right, okay. So I'm close. Yeah. So let me tell you this one before I forget, because like I said, I don't necessarily know what order it was, but I know that somebody said dead, and then a little bit later on, I think somebody says, "How did you die?" Or maybe didn't even ask that, but it come back with shot, and it's in the same time frame. It's not like hours later. It's in the same time frame.
That's pretty cool.
And it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. And the other one that I did want to touch on, and this does go back, and it's one question I've never asked, and I think it's because at that night I said it sounded like your nan. Actually, live there, I said, "Are you in heaven?" And it says, "Kind of, yeah."
Really?
Kind of, yeah. But it's a man that comes through that says, "Kind of, yeah," and that's exactly what it says. Look, I do want to say this. I've heard loads of people's evidence from around the world, around the globe, wherever. I've heard people say that they've had the slightest muffle, and they've told me it sounds like somebody saying a full sentence, and I personally can't hear it. Maybe that happens with ours, I don't know. I will tell you is, when we get voices, we do get complete sentences.
I'm telling you.
It is a complete sentence. Now, if you go back to the very beginning, when even before we were paranormal investigators, they used to use this on on Ghost Adventures, and I would say to you, what a load of crap.
This is the SB7 now.
The SB7, yeah. And so we're sitting there all those years ago, can't remember how many years ago, and I remember saying to you, you were hooked, line and sinker at this point. You were, oh my God, look at what they said. And I used to sit there, didn't I? So I'm watching this shit. It was one of the pieces of equipment that when I went into as a paranormal investigator, wanted to use. Because I, honest to God, thought it was a load of shit and that I'd be able to figure out it being a load of shit. But I want to tell you now is that it's been one of the best pieces of equipment that we've ever used.
Especially when nothing's coming through before and nothing comes through after.
Yeah, and this is
like,
it.
And I'm not talking, like we won't say something that goes green or dead or...
Yeah. We've had the voices...
We can show you better shut your mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Think about how long that sentence is.
And Rocky could tell you.
We always use our SB7 on the rapid sweep, so it's sweeping so fast. So I couldn't even tell. I think it's
at 100 when it sweeps, but I don't know actually how that is in time. But Rocky
with no aerial.
Rocky is that good with it. He can count the sweeps. He would tell you how many sweeps that have gone over.
Yeah.
So yes, we've had You Better Shut Your Mouth. We've had Lisa
my name
and surname,
first name and last name,
and surname twice, 2 different nights, days apart in 2 different locations, like 2 different parts of the same location.
No.
We've had J Mexico after you said what's your name, where'd you come
absolutely.
from. We've had so many things that we've had voices that even I can't make out, and we've just not put it in.
And we've had voices that have come out of fresh air.
And we've had AVP.
We've had voices that when I've gone, did that just come out of the spirit box? And it actually, we can't even figure out whether it's come out of the spirit box or not.
The whistles that we had in the undergrounds, they were coming from the air and from the spirit box and back from the air and back.
I know that was
crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this one, for some unknown reason, and I do believe to a certain degree that whatever it is that's going on in these buildings, they do gravitate, or whatever it is gravitating to certain pieces of equipment. I do believe that, because we can run spirit box for days and nights on end and nothing. And then there's other places we can get a couple of words, and then there's other places. I mean, like, we get Rocky a lot through that. There's a little girl that comes through and says Rocky a lot. See, and this is what I'm very big on. I'm very big on repetition. I mean, if you said, what's my name, and it come up with, I don't know, George or David or John, they're just general names. Like, they're very popular names.
But it's got to be crystal clear, though, as well. I know, yeah. Rocky's not even a common name,
Rocky,
is it?
It's not a common name. And it comes through on several locations, several times it can come through. And then, like with you, with Lee, and then we get the scouter that comes through quite a lot. I mean, I've even had a conversation with you that said, come on, rack your brains, who do you know that's a Liverpudlian? Who do you know that might want to communicate you, haven't I?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that's it for us, guys. I really hope that you've enjoyed this. I hope we've not bored the shit out of you. I hope that we've not waffled on for too long. I hope this is what you wanted, because we kind of just freestyled this, didn't we, based on what viewers had asked for. Our next guest up for the next episode is going to be Paranormal Footprints.
Yes, we're
going to
we're
Edinburgh
sharing
Vaults.
the vaults with them at Edinburgh Vaults,
Yeah,
aren't we?
we're going to Edinburgh Vaults, and then we're going to have a very special guest. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get that prepared with somebody who's coming the vaults with us. I won't reveal too much now, because hopefully we can get him in. He is Joe Public. He doesn't investigate, has got an interest in the paranormal,
Has had experiences
has
as
had
a child.
experiences, and is really excited to come.
And scared.
And scared. And when you see on the pictures on Instagram, you see the video of who that is, you're going to laugh, because he's like, is he 7 foot tall? Oh, what's he, 6 foot tall? What is he?
He's
very tall.
6'7" and 19 stone.
Yeah. So
I'd still knock him out.
Yeah, no, not that we're saying that it depends on your size and your demeanour, but no, he's very scared, but he's very excited to come. So hopefully something can happen down those vaults and we can get him to come on and talk about that, because that would be interesting again from a research point of view, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It'd be different again. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope we've not waffled for too long. I hope you've taken something from it, even if you're, like I say, you're not a paranormal investigator and you just watch these shows. If you've got anything you want to ask us, you can contact us on, well, you can contact me. I'm on there as well, but on Instagram, one of us will speak to you, probably normally Lee. Fire away with your questions. If you've got any evidence that you think that we could link up with ours, especially like that one where they're mimicking the voices, throw that at us as well. Maybe you've done research yourself into like the mobile phones or whatever, and we've missed something out.
And maybe you've done some research on something we haven't done,
yeah,
and push us in
push
another
us in
direction.
So fire your questions at us. We hope you've enjoyed it. Look out for next time for Paranormal Footprints, and we'll see you again very soon.
Bye-bye.